Hey, good evening, guys. I am here with Zachary King, and if you're not yet familiar with his work, he's done an amazing personal testimony about spiritual warfare, Mary, divine mercy, Jesus, Satan in pop culture. And because we're live, if you've got any questions for him, please put them in the chat. So he has gone from the darkness to the light, folks, and it's a hell of a story. So, Zachary, thanks for coming on. And before we get into all of this, then, what was your life like growing up?
My parents were Baptist. I say my parents were good Baptists. That means they never went to church, but they talked to me and my brother that we had to go. I was in the Baptist church in diapers up until I was 15. And what happened to me, though, at 15 is that every church service, what do they call them there? I'm not Protestant anymore, so I don't remember. It's what we would call a homily. They call the whatever it is. Anyway, every one of them, whatever the Bible verse was, it was about donating money to the Baptist church. So if, I understand that during the tithe part, during the offertory hymn, there's an offering that's got to keep the lights on and the doors open. I get that. But that entire Bible was not about donating money to the Baptist church, which didn't exist for another 1,850 years. So
I'm just gonna stop you real quick. They're saying that your audio is crackling. Do you have a headset by any chance?
Honey.
Yeah.
Do I still have my headset?
You don't have a headset.
I don't have it anymore?
No.
Oh, that's right. Chewy got that and then he broke it. No, I don't.
All right, let me just try and see if I can do anything here with it then. Let's have a look. Edit microphone settings.
I have to use your phone.
5,000, 4,000. Have you got another device?
Hold on.
You're on a tablet right now. I can put you on my phone.
Yeah. Let's try the phone. Let's go with the phone.
What's the charge on the phone?
All right, guys. We got a bit of a crackle. I just didn't want to have a situation we had the other night when we had our friend Ashley, and the crackling just got worse and worse, and we had to stop the stream. So let's just give him a chance to reboot this up on his phone. And oh, thank you. I'm live right now, so I'll just look out for that. Or if you want to upload it to the dash and just put it on the live, that would be great. And get your questions in the chat, and we will get them to him. I just didn't want to be in a situation where the crackle's just gonna get worse and worse, like it did the other day with Ashley. Didn't want to get stuck like that again. So just give him a second to come back in. Here we go. Right, let's see how this is.
Is this any better?
Yeah, so far so good. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right, we'll start over again then.
All right.
So, all right. So, huge thank you for coming on. Could you just tell us a bit about what your life was like before you got into the darkness and then emerged from it, please?
Well, I grew up in the Baptist church. My dad had me and my brother in the Baptist church from diapers. And, just to skip over some of the Satanism, though, for right now, when I was about 15 years old, every sermon was about money, about giving money to the Baptist church. And, it was, by the time I was 15, I had heard, I don't know how many sermons. I've been there since diapers, and it's 52 sermons a year, times 15 years. I mean, that's quite a few to hear. And every one of them was about giving money to the Baptist church. Let me give you an example. Jesus wept. because he saw the future state of the Baptist church and we didn't donate enough money. And I told my dad, if they bring up money in one more sermon, don't bother about coming to pick me up. I'll just walk home because I'm tired of that. And he's like, what, why would you leave? And I said, because that entire Bible can't be, every verse cannot be about donating money to the Baptist church. But that's what I'm tired of hearing. Every sermon, no matter what the Bible verse is, it could be Old Testament, New Testament, the book of Revelation, it could be Genesis. It's about donating money to the Baptist church. So me and my brother go to the sermon, and he says something else about money. And see, the thing is, in our town, it's a small town, and there's a radio station that covers the Baptist church service. And they record it and they put it, it's live on the radio. So it's a country music station, and my parents would tune into that. So they would listen to it every week. So they knew what I was saying was true. And I came home, and my mom said, my mother said, your father is really mad at you. I said, what's he mad at me for? I didn't make the Baptist preacher talk about money. And he could have called the Baptist preacher during the week. He had 7 days. He could have said, if you talk about money, my son will leave. Don't do it for this one Sunday. If he had gone one Sunday without saying it, the next Sunday I would have been back at the Baptist church again, because he went 1 week without saying it. But my dad didn't call him and say that. So I ended up coming home. And then my dad comes outside, all kind of mad. And he's like, you're the most irresponsible person I've ever met. I said, I'm the irresponsible one? You could have called the Baptist preacher and told him not to talk about donating money to the Baptist church. He could have said it. He could have changed his message. But none of that stuff happened. How am I the irresponsible one? 15 years of hearing about donating money to the Baptist church, I'm done. And I said, I've attended other Baptist church services, and they have the offertory, but they don't spend every sermon talking about donating money to the Baptist church. So why do we? So that was the last time I attended the Baptist church. I was 15 and never attended, I never went back. So when I was growing up, I had this burning desire, because I had seen horror movies, stuff on TV though. I didn't go to theaters to watch horror movies, but and a lot of horror movies from like the 50s or 60s. So things like The Blob or Creature from the Black Lagoon. I loved horror movies. And then there was a lot of stuff that included magic. And then at that time we had what was his name? Not David Copperfield, that was later. But there was another guy that practiced magic, and it was all sleight of hand.
Houdini.
Yes.
Houdini, was it?
Well, Houdini was dead by the time I came along.
Okay.
It was, but yeah, I was very fascinated with Houdini as well. And I can't remember this guy's name, but he was very much just into sleight of hand. And I asked my Baptist preacher and my parents, is magic real? But I mean, I'm reading comic books, and there's Doctor Strange in comic books, and there's other people that practice magic, and there's cartoons about magic. There's movies that have magic. There's even martial arts movies that have people that can levitate. So I'm like, oh, Doug Henning, that was the guy's name. So I just have a burning desire to find out if magic is real. Because if it is, I'm going to learn magic. And if it's not, I'm just going to give up on it. And why would I waste my time? But my Baptist preacher and my parents said, magic is fake. It's false. That's nothing you can really do. Now, as a sidebar here, in the Bible, like in the 10 Commandments, for example, it says, thou shalt not steal. Now, it only says that one time, but it says it. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not lie. Now, all of those seem like they're very important, but God doesn't spend a lot of time telling people not to lie. He says it in the 10 Commandments. So he says it one time. And all those things, they do seem very important, and I appreciate him telling me not to do them. But if it was impossible to tell a lie, thou shalt not lie wouldn't be in the 10 Commandments. If you could not steal, thou shalt not steal would not be in there either. If it was impossible to murder somebody, thou shalt not kill would not be in the 10 Commandments. So, we don't have a speed limit sign that says don't go 700 miles an hour because it's impossible to do that. Now, we do have speed limit 55, speed limit 60. In Montana, they have speed limit 80. And those are all nice, but nobody says above that because we can't go 700 miles an hour. So if God's going to tell you not to do something, then you can do it. And in the Bible, there's 33 verses where God tells you not to do magical things. Why would he warn you against magical things 33 times if it's impossible to do it? I had somebody about 5 years ago say they would give me $10,000 cash if I could prove magic was real. So I invited them to my house. And I had my friend bring out the Bible, and I had him look up all 33 verses. And I said, if magic was impossible to do, God wouldn't warn you 33 times not to do it. That was 5 years ago. I am still waiting for my $10,000.
Uri Geller, some people have said, might be the name you were looking for.
That's another good guess, but it was Doug Henning. Doug Henning was probably only big in the United States. Uri Geller was famous all around the world, as was Houdini.
Indeed. Okay, so you said then, you rejected all of this money that was being called for in that church. What direction did that send you in next then, once you rejected that?
Well, when I was 15, I'd been a Satanist for a few years at that point. So
how did you begin that? Yeah.
Going back, I was 10 years old. I was in the 5th grade. And on the very first day of school, this kid came up to me and he said, meet me in the bathroom at the first break. And the first break is at 10:20. And you get 15 minutes and you can go outside and play. You can chat with your friends. You can hang around in the school. You can read a book. You can do anything except leave the campus. So, and we didn't hear warnings about don't ever, if somebody says, meet me in the bathroom, don't go. We didn't hear anything like that. We're a bunch of innocent kids. This is 1976. So meet me in the bathroom at the first break. 10:20, I walk in the bathroom. It's the men's bathroom. And this is a brand new school. It's a brand new building. The bathrooms are huge. And there's about 49 other kids in the bathroom, boys and girls in the same bathroom. We've all been told, meet me in the bathroom at the first break. When we get in there, this guy says, okay, now we're going to turn out the lights. And we're like, how are you going to do that? Because at that time, these bathrooms had a special device to turn off the lights, and you had to stick in a special key that only teachers had. And some genius child figured out that if you unfolded a paperclip and stuck it in there, you could turn out the light. So we're going to turn out the lights and we're going to chant a phrase a certain number of times. And if you do it right, the spirit of a burn victim will show up in the mirror. None of us are believing this. It's like, so I'm just going to chant something about Bloody Mary a few times and I'm going to see the spirit of a burn victim. Okay. Yeah, this is believable. So first thing that happens, they turn out the lights, and some of these kids in here, we're all 10 years old. Some of the kids are not used to having the lights turned off. So they're getting a little apprehensive. And he's like, come on. It's just us in the bathroom. Now we're just going to chant this phrase a certain number of times and let's see what happens. I'm thinking nothing's going to happen. So, or maybe somebody's going to jump out of a stall and scream and scare everybody. Whatever. So we chant it. All of a sudden, this demonic face, but I don't realize it's demonic. It looks like the spirit of a burn victim. The upper part of its mouth is melted and it stretches down to the bottom part of its lips. And you can see its face is pulled back in a grimace and has very sharp teeth in its mouth. But to me, as a child, I believed in the law of bulldogs. You may not know that law. Bulldogs are one of the ugliest dogs there is, but most of them are super friendly. So if, a bulldog comes up to you, there's no reason to run away from it. It's most likely just wants to be petted. It can't help how it looks. It was born with that face. It's not a bad dog. It just wants to be petted and loved like all the other dogs. And some people fear it because it looks ugly. So this person, if they died in a fire, obviously their skin is dark black and shiny, and their face looks like it melted. Well, if I died in a fire, my face might have melted too. So I'm thinking, but like I said, I was told it was a game. It's not really a game, it's a spell. So you need a spell. To make a spell work, you need intention, repetition, and demonic presence. So you've got the people that have watched Harry Potter and read Harry Potter spells and tried to make them come true, and they say they don't work. Well, praise God, it didn't work. That meant there wasn't a demon present. Because I've also talked to people that say they've tried them and they do work. Actually, since we're on the subject of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling's a few years ago put a message on her personal website that said every time she deposited $1 billion Harry Potter check, she felt guilty because she was lying to the people. She believed that the Wiccan church is the one true church. Gaia is the person they worship, and that she intentionally manipulated the minds of young people to believe magic was real so that young people would join the Wiccan movement, because most of the Wiccans are old and starting to die off. She also admitted on a BBC interview on Christmas Day 2019 that Harry Potter is satanic. It's difficult to find now, and it's in two places. There's an actual recording where it's just her and the guy John that's interviewing her, but there's another one that's on like a talk show, and when it's played, the audience laughs. The original version, there's no audience laughing. So anyway, I'm looking at this face. The 49 kids that were in there with me ran out of the bathroom screaming. I stayed in there because I thought, this is the most awesome thing ever. I said this phrase a certain number of times, and I saw the face. And now that it's there, it can see that I made it. I'm the one that conjured this face up. Now, I don't know what this person is. I don't know if it is.
Oops. This is getting really, there we go.
Okay, so what happens is you're on my phone, and I get a lot of phone calls. So when I get a phone call, it's going to go blank, and I get a thing, and you may not be able to hear me.
That's okay. Keep going.
All right. So remember that at 10 years old, you're not the sharpest tack. So when I see this scary face in the mirror, I have not tapped into a castle 3,000 miles away. I have not even tapped into the room behind the mirror. If I'm seeing the demon in the mirror, he's standing next to me. But I'm not smart enough to pick up on that. Then eventually, the school sent notes home, and our parents had to sign them and give them back, that said, if your child is caught playing this game at school, they'll be suspended for 3 days. And I brought my note home to my dad in the den. And usually when I give my dad a note, He takes it, signs it, and throws it back at me. He doesn't care what it says. He just figures, well, it's something else I have to sign, whatever. But today, when I took him the note, he reads it. And I was like, oh boy. He reads it. And then, my dad had been a U.S. Marine. So in his usual loving tone, he asked me, have you been playing this game? And being terrified of my dad as I was, I told him the 100% truth. No. So that I wouldn't get caught at school and spend 3 glorious days with my dad, I started playing the game at home. Because whenever I played at school, the face always showed up. So I started playing it at home. What could the danger be in that? And every time I played, the demonic face showed up. Now, remember when I played it at school, it was like once a day. But now that I can do it at home, I'm doing it 25 to 50 times a day, as much as I can, because every time I do it, the face shows up. Then I turn out the lights, close the door, open the door back up, turn on the lights, do it again. And it keeps happening. Every time I do it, the face shows up. And I'm having a great time. This eventually, it almost feels like this is one of my friends. I mean, I can't really talk to him. He doesn't talk back. He doesn't seem to want to hurt me or do anything, but he always shows up. I've got friends that I call that aren't home, or friends that I try and make, arrangements to hang out with, and I can't. But this guy is reliable. And then I'm also playing Dungeons and Dragons at this time. All the older kids in my town play it. I like it. It's a math-based game. I'm a little math geek. So this sounds like a fun game to me. I'm always the wizard or the sorcerer in the game. Whenever I roll for anything else, like if I'm rolling to cross a chasm on a rope, I'm going to score between 1 and 14. So I might make it and I might die. But every time I do a magic spell in the game, I score a 15 to a 20. So my magic spell always works. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes it barely works. But it always works. And it doesn't occur to me that it's the magic itself. That's why I'm doing so well. I just assumed I roll really good for some reason when I'm practicing magic. And it's not real magic. I mean, it's like I'm doing a magic spell for light. Let's roll the die and see what I get. And I rolled an 18. My light's pretty bright. That's pretty good. But then, I have to roll to do something else that's not magical related, and then I die. It's like I should have kept doing magic. So I'm doing that, and then eventually, still 10 years old, and I start thinking, what if I did a magic spell in real life? Would it work in real life? Now, my Baptist preacher has told me no. My parents have told me no. All my friends have told me no. And I'm thinking, but what if I did a magic spell and it really worked? Knowledge is power. I would know something that they don't know. And that would be so awesome. My main intention was Superman can fly, but flying is levitation. What if I could learn magic and I could levitate my way to school and I would pass all my friends flying there, and they can see that I can do something that should be impossible to do, but I can do it. And that gives me friends that I don't already have, but more friends. Maybe a girl would like me. Let's see what'll happen. Maybe teachers would respect me. So I do a magic spell. Now, I had looked them up in the library and I couldn't find anything. So I just did a D&D spell for money. And that was on a Friday. Saturday, I went out to play and I found a can of tennis balls with a $5 bill in it. Okay, this is 1976. Candy bars are 15 to 20 cents. Comic books are 15 to 20 cents. And penny candy is 1 cent. So if my dad pays the tax with $5, I can get 500 pieces of candy. I'm on top of the world. But somebody had to find it. It just happened to be me. So I did the spell again the next Friday. The next day I went out to play, and there were 2 people walking in front of me, 2 people walking behind me, and I found a $10 bill on the side of the road in the grass. Again, that's 1,000 pieces of candy or whatever else I can get for $10. But the people in front of me missed it, and the people behind me might have found it if I hadn't seen it. So this could have been a coincidence as well. So the next Friday, I do the spell again, but this time I do it in my bathroom at home. And I set up my magic spell on the sink, all my magic stuff. And I had a wad of cash. It was just $1 bills. But I did the spell. Halfway into it, I stopped it and I did the Bloody Mary chant. And then when the face appeared, I showed it. I had candles, I had a knife, I had a piece of paper with the spell on it. I had matches because I'm going to burn it when I'm done. And I hold up the cash. I'm trying to convey I'm doing a spell for money. And then I finished out the Bloody Mary chant after it was there. And I finished out my spell. And that was that on that day. And the next day I went out to play. And I was in this large unpaved parking lot. And I saw something shiny off in the distance. And I ran off to see what it was. When I got there, I'm looking all around. There's nothing shiny on the ground. But I see what looks like Monopoly money rolled up tight in rubber bands. So I put that in my pocket and I go about playing. Later that night, everybody's had their bath. Everybody's in their pajamas. Everybody's gone to bed. I'm in my bedroom with the lights out, but a sheet up over my head and a flashlight in my mouth, unraveling my treasure. It looked like Monopoly money because I had never seen a $100 bill. And when I unraveled everything, I'm worth $1,000. Keep in mind, everything I want is dirt cheap. Also keep in mind that in the 1970s, $1 was worth about $7 now. So my $1,000 is worth about $7,000 now. And with my penny candy being 1 cent per piece of candy, I can now buy 100,000 pieces of candy. I'm a fat little nerdy kid, and I am on top of the world. You know, I can buy candy bars, comic books, record albums, anything. If they sold it at Goodwill, which is like a secondhand store, thrift store, if they sell it there, I can buy it. And my mom would, give me $5 and tell me to go there and buy something nice. You could buy for $5, you could get a nice pair of shoes, a pair of pants, some t-shirts, sometimes a leather jacket. You could buy some really nice stuff. But I'm worth $1,000. And I filled my closet, filled my room. My parents had no idea what I had in my room. When I was older, I had something that looked like a glass vase in my room, and I kept flowers in it. And my parents didn't know that it was a bong, and I could smoke weed out of it. It was dark blue and yellow on top. The funnel going up was yellow, and the bottom, the base of it was dark blue. And my mom commented on how pretty it was, and she would sometimes bring me flowers to put in it. And they had no idea that I was smoking weed out of it. And we had these big windows in my bedroom, and they had a crank on them so you could open them up. And I would do that and blow the smoke out the window. So my dad was never aware that I was smoking weed. My brother as well with special needs. If you told my brother, don't tell mom and dad, but I'm smoking weed today, that'd be the first thing out of his mouth. But if you didn't say anything, he was not a tattletale. He was not a narc. He never told on me for anything that I did. I would sneak out sometimes at night and sneak back in. And as long as I didn't tell my brother, don't tell mom and dad, he never never made a comment, never said anything about it. So I'm practicing magic and I'm on top of the world. When I was 11 years old, I became the victim of a sexual assault at school at the hands of a female teacher. I came into the bathroom and we had like 4 stalls. 3 of them were regular size, one was handicapped. I came into the bathroom and I can hear somebody breathing heavy in the bathroom. But I looked under the stalls, there's nobody there, there's no feet. So I opened each one of the drawers and there's nobody, nobody, nobody. And the last one I opened up was the handicap stall. And I opened that door and there's a woman sitting on the toilet with both of her feet pulled up on the toilet. And she's masturbating, but I don't know what masturbating is. And I'm looking at her vagina, but I had no idea that girls have that. And it looked like she had a wound of some kind. It looked like she'd been stabbed and sliced. I don't know what's going on. And she has me come in, lock the door. She ends up assaulting me orally and then has me laid out on the ground. She pulls off my pants and underwear and climbs on top of me. I have no earthly idea what she's doing. I just know that I'm not comfortable doing it. When she's done, she has me get dressed and she tells me, if I tell anyone this was my idea, I clearly enjoyed it. And if I tell anybody, the school will expel me and I'll go to prison and my parents will disown me. And when I get out of prison, which she made it all seem like it would happen in the same year, when I get out of prison, I'll have to get a job, rent my own place, pay all my bills, and buy my own food. Now, imagine you've got a teacher telling you that. You don't have the internet. You can't look this stuff up. Your parents have never told you about sex. So you're thinking, she's a teacher. She's clearly telling me the truth. I can't tell anyone. So when I got home, first thing is that I went to that bathroom to pee. I came back to class. I never peed. When the bell rung, it was my last class of the day. I still needed to go to the bathroom, but I was scared to go into any of the bathrooms because she might still be there. Or there might be another teacher that would do it. So I walk home. I urinate myself on the way home. When I get home, I put my clothes in the dirty clothes. My mom never mentioned it. And I feel so dirty and ashamed. I took a bath in as hot a water as I could stand. And I did that multiple days in a row. And that wasn't making me feel any cleaner. I thought about for a while drinking bleach, not to kill myself, just to clean myself from the inside out. But I read on the jug that it would be fatal if swallowed. So I couldn't do that. And I wasn't allowed to tell anybody. So I've got a counselor at school that I know that I can't tell the counselor at school because they work at the same school as the teacher. So I'll be found out and I'll end up going to prison. So the only thing that gave me comfort and solace was more magic. When that happened to me in the bathroom, I had zero control. Oh, my phone's ringing again.
That's all right. Well, we wait for him to come back. His links are in the description box. We've got his YouTube channel and we've got his Facebook. Oh, looks like he's back.
Here I am. So
Thanks.
when that happened to me, I had zero control. There was nothing I could do. You know, she lied to me about what was going on. I have zero power. But when I did magic, I was at the top of my game. Every magic spell I did worked. I'm flush in money. I had so much money and I had so many things that, and my friends all knew my parents don't buy stuff like this for me. So they started asking me, how can they get the same stuff I'm getting? And I said, I could do something for you and get you the same thing, but you'd have to share it with me. You wouldn't have it if it wasn't for me. So I would do stuff for them and they would get anywhere from 10 to 25%. of what they got. And I'm feeling I'm on top of the world doing this. I feel like I'm rich. When I was 10 years old and I was playing D&D, there was a kid my age that played with us. And he also went to school with us. And he also went to church with me. Now I'm 10 years old. He leaves. He's not in school anymore. He's not in church anymore. And he doesn't play anymore. So I thought he moved away. When I was 12 years old, he moved back. And he